set the record in the entire industry by doing so with only a team of 7,000 plus members. So tonight, Rene is obviously going to share with us some amazing strategies, as he always does, and to give you some insight on what he will be training on. These are going to be strategies specifically that he uses to build his business and produce massive success in the area of closing and what to do after a tour. So I just want to see if Rene is on the line and if he can hear us okay. Rene, can you hear me?
Yes, Sebastian, good evening. Loud and clear, I can hear you perfectly. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Well, we can hear you, Rene, and we're excited. I know I've got my pen and paper ready, and I'm sure many people on this call tonight do as well. So the call is yours.
Okay, well, thank you so much for that wonderful and kind introduction, Sebastian. You know, I'm so impressed by your leadership, how much you've grown in the past, years of the business. I remember the first time you came on board, meeting you at the Toronto showroom, and boy, oh boy, have you and your team just exploded. Absolutely proud about you, and looking forward to you, of course, hitting that 6 figures a month income in the next year or so. So thank you, Sebastian. And a very good morning, afternoon, or evening, again, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for taking the time to be here tonight. And I just want to say, if you're here tonight, you're serious. I often ask a lot of people when I meet them who look very excited, or maybe they're not excited. It doesn't matter. I always ask them, do you want to be a millionaire? And everyone always says yes. Rene, I want to be a millionaire. I want to be, make what you're making. I want to have the lifestyle you have. And I asked him the same question that the CEO asked me. Because when the CEO, when I first met him, Mr. Rene Liaw, the gentleman who's literally mentored and helped train almost 16, 17 other millionaires now, he asked me the same question, Rene, do you want to make a financial home run for yourself? I said, absolutely yes, Rene. He says to me, the same question I'm going to ask you tonight, he said to me, Rene, what makes you so special? And I was shocked. I was sitting there trying to think about what to say, why I was so special. But I got his point there. Because what he then said was that, Rene, what makes you so special to earn what 1% of the population that have the most wealth? What makes you so special enough to be like the 1% who have the most wealth in North America? Are you willing to do what 99% of the population isn't willing to do to achieve the results and the wealth that the 1% have? And I think that's the main thing about being on trainings, is if you're on this training tonight, it means that you are serious about making a change in your future, and you're willing to commit time and training, where else, some others are, playing sports. Some others are watching TV for all we know right now. Others are, who knows, just with their friends having a dinner. Others blowing money, who knows, maybe they're out partying, blowing money. And to me, I had to make a decision many years ago. Am I willing to sacrifice my next 5 years of my life to give up all the things that I love right now to achieve the lifestyle that the 1% have, and to provide a lifestyle for my family that the 1% have? And the answer was, hell yeah, absolutely 100% yes. So my schedules before went from, playing badminton, volleyball 3 times a week, going to the gym 4 or 5 times a week, making sure I was meeting up with friends, going for dinners, being the most popular person in my circle, to, what? I'm going to have some priorities in life. My first priority is going to be my family. Of course, back then, I didn't have a wife. I didn't have kids. My priority was my parents and my sister. Was, can I do something to help them have financial freedom? And after that, my family, the second thing of top priority was my business. That was it. Family, business. Family, business. And that's a decision that we've all made on the call tonight, that we're going to sacrifice some time and put that time into our business. So a lot of you on the call tonight have had success in your business with the amount of hours you worked so far. And I want to ask you one question. Imagine if you took that same amount of time that you have put in so far to achieve the results you have right now. Just imagine if you spent more time into your business. Just add in another 50% of what you're doing, or even doubling the hours you're doing right now. Would that not just double, but quadruple, quintuple I don't know what's after quintuple. I think it's octuple, something like that. but it is to exceed the income you have today. And that's all it is. If you just spend every waking moment you had in this business, in the business, you would have incredible results that you want to have these results others have. So tonight, though, I just want to say congratulations again for being on the call tonight and putting effort into your own business, because that's what makes you special. And be consistent, persistent, and don't give up. So tonight's training, though, is about a few little tips that I always use during closing. And, it's literally no different than what I've done 7 years ago, 8 years ago when I started the business. I fine-tuned a few things. I've learned what to say. But tonight I'm going to share with you guys a quick few tips of things that I say and do during my closing. It's not rocket science. I think you're going to be like, oh, my God, that's so simple, Rene, after the call tonight. And I actually even shared this training at the past Toronto Boot Camp. And I could see so many light bulbs of people going off their heads. People were like, oh, my God, are you kidding me? So here we go, a few quick tips that I always do in my surveying closings. And if you're ever around me and see me closing with someone, it's always the same thing. So here we go. So make sure that my audio is still okay. And if my audio is not okay, just someone let me know. All right, here we go. So this topic is really about what happens after you showed someone the tour and you've gone over the survey. Here are a few quick tips and pointers you want to keep in mind, okay? Some closing tips here, okay? During the survey process, you have got to have the 3 E's. Write this down because you're going to forget. The best way to retain information you're learning is to write it down. It's been scientifically proven. It stays in your mind, it stays in your head, and you can review it. And the more that you review it, the more that you see it, the more you're going to do it. Okay? It's the 3 E's. What do the 3 E's mean? The 3 E's means you've got to display your excitement. Okay? Now, if your prospect is someone who's very, very low and like low energy, you don't want to go, drastically excited. You don't want to have too much of a contrast, right? I always say, look at your prospect, and have his energy level plus a few. So if he's really excited, you be even more excited. If he's medium excited, be more excited. If he's kind of low excitement, be medium excitement, right? So you always want to have that excitement regardlessly. Never ever match your prospect's tone, because that means that you're not showing excitement, okay? Energy and enthusiasm, all right? Keep in mind one thing. In the business, put yourself in your prospect's shoes. I always do that. I always imagine, what does my prospect want to hear? What's my prospect thinking? And how can I help him get over what he's thinking, okay? So, and what I've known and what I've seen is a lot of people, when they're with their prospects, sometimes the prospects, might have a lot of questions, might be really down, and the LC is kind of joining them at that same level of energy. You can't do that. You got to make sure that you're giving them some enthusiasm, because believe me, everyone that comes to see the business, most of them, like 99.9%, they have boring jobs. They've been doing their jobs for many years. It's boring, all right? They wouldn't do it if they weren't paid to do it. So if they weren't paid to work at that job, they wouldn't do it. So they have enough boring in their lives. And your job is to show them excitement. Your job is to show them, you know what, we can have a fun time here in this business and make some great money, okay? Sometimes I think some people take too much excitement and fun from the tour. They make it so serious. My suggestion is, you're going to have your serious times where you're talking about like the numbers and the compensation plan, but make sure you always add in some fun, some excitement, a little bit of humor. Okay, it goes a long way in the closing. Some big don'ts in the business. Okay, write this down. Never ask your prospect, "Hey, what did you think?" And that's one of the biggest mistakes I've seen people make. Is when they're done the presentation and they're sitting beside their guests, the first question they ask is, "Hey, John, Joe, Mr. Prospect, Mrs. Prospect, what did you think?" And the reason why you don't want to ask that question is because it gives the prospect a chance to be negative. So instead of asking a prospect, what did you think, instead ask them, hey, what did you like the most? Okay? Or what was the best part that you loved about the presentation? Or what did you find most interesting about the presentation? There's different ways of asking it, right? But ask them what's the best thing, the most fun thing, the most exciting thing they saw in the tour. And after you ask that question, always remember, wait for the answer. Here's the reason why. If you ask a question and then you try to come in and you don't wait for the answer and you keep talking, it actually shows a little bit of weakness. It looks like you're scrambling to get stuff from your prospect. Just wait. They will eventually answer your question. They have to think about it. So if you ask another question or you move on, you didn't give them a chance to tell you what they like the most. So always remember that when you ask a question, wait for the answer. Okay? So they tell you they like, the products the most, focus on the products and how much fun it is selling the products. And they tell you that they love the compensation plan, focus on the compensation plan. So whatever they're telling you that they actually liked, what you want to do is add on to that. Give more points of relevance to what they enjoyed the most about the tour. Okay? And by doing that, you're going to raise the enthusiasm, you're going to raise that energy and excitement about the business. Okay? Another you don't want to do in the business is never ask someone, hey, Mr. Prospect, do you want to join now? Never ever ask that question. Okay, because you look desperate then, right? Okay, so I never ask the question, do you want to join? Because again, you might get the answer no. So what do you think are some good ways of asking the same question but to get a positive? Okay? One way of doing it is you ask, hey, Mr. Prospect, Mrs. Prospect, which package were you thinking of? Or which package most interests you? Or which package do you think is most feasible for you at this time? A much better question to ask than asking, do you want to join now? They say, no, not right now. Now you're like, okay, well, they got to go into more details. Well, what makes it not the best time for you to join? Instead of doing that, just ask them, which package were you thinking of? If they say silver, what are you going to do? That's a great package to start with. You get an amazing product. You can have products right away to start your business, to show your friends and family. It makes business a lot easier. If they tell you, the diamond package, amazing decision. The same answer. It's amazing the decision. You get so much products to have on you right away. It's going to make for one of your business so much easier. Notice my answer was the same. Doesn't matter what they say. You always want to reconfirm their decision. Make them feel like they're in power and that they're in control of their decision. Okay? If they say silver and you say, well, no, diamond's better, you're now making your prospect feel like they're not in control of the situation. If your prospect, write this down. If your prospect feels like they're not in control of the situation, they're not going to join. Understand this. Very important, right? Okay? But if you make the prospect feel that the decision is the right decision, they're going to get started right away. So if they say retailer, that's a wonderful package to start with. It gets you in a position, locking your position, start making some great retail sales. Let's get you started right away. And I love to say that. Well, let's get you started. Let's get you started. It's a very simple way of transitioning from, when you were talking to your prospect, you're going to notice a time. This will always happen when the energy is the highest. Energy is the highest, they're the most excited. That's the point in time that you want to tell you know what? Let's get you started. Pass over the iPad, pass in the laptop, pass in the application form. That's what you want to do. So always keep in mind, when the energy is the highest, bam, that's the time to let them get started. Some of you, you're really good at getting that prospect's energy up to a very high point. They're very excited, but you keep talking, and then the energy level comes back down again. Now you've actually made yourself a lot harder to finalize that process. I've seen a time, I think with Sebastian and me and one of his prospects, and again, one of his teammates, where the guy was really excited, but there's too many people talking. Beyond the point of his excitement, he lost that excitement and became really tough to complete the process. Did they go bring him out to a coffee shop, and more talking, right? So trust me, when the timing and the energy is high, boom, you know what, Mr. Prospect, let's get you started. Let's work together. We're going to change your life. We're going to have a lot of fun time here. Can't wait to work with you. Let's get you started. And boom, that's when you pass over the iPad or the laptop or the Android tablet or the application form. That being said, one mistake I see very often is that people don't have the application form in front of them during the closing process, or they don't have the website with the sign-in page open, okay? Because believe me, when you're going through the closing process, what you always want to have is the survey. Write this down. Survey, the application form, and if it applies to you, the tax fill-in-the-blank document. I guarantee you, if you have these three things, you're going to have a 99.99% chance of having your prospect get started. Okay? In one day, I did the same thing. The same process I'm teaching you guys tonight, all the prospects joined. All right? So the three things you got to have, again, application form, the survey, and if it applies to your city, the tax savings document. Because what happens is that if you're with your prospect and you do not have the application form in front of you, or you don't have, the sign-up page already open on your tablet or your computer, your prospect doesn't know the next step. Okay? And 2 points here. Okay? It becomes awkward, to then take out the application form and pull it out when you're doing the closing process. It looks like you're trying to sell the person, okay? But if after the tour is done and you already have the application form with the survey and the tax fill-in-the-blank document in front of you, it doesn't look awkward because you're not pulling it out from your back, okay? Or if you have your laptop ready with the sign-in page ready, okay, it doesn't look like you're pulling out your laptop to sign them up. Trust me, it makes a difference, okay? And the second point is that a lot of times people actually are already waiting to get started after the tour because the presenter's job in the tour is to make it very excitable for your prospect to want to join right away. But again, I've seen some cases where, there's no application form on the table, and, sometimes people, you don't see their emotions. So sometimes when you're done the presentation, you can't tell what your prospect's thinking because some people just don't display their emotions very well. And in one case, I have seen 3 LCs talking to the prospect, again, doing all the right stuff though, being excited, being energy, having enthusiasm, but, the guy wasn't signing. So I finally asked that person, so Mr. Prospect, if there's one thing that was holding you back, just one thing that was holding you back, if there is something that's holding you back from getting started, write this down. That's a very important question to ask if they're not getting started. Mr. Prospect, if there's one thing, if there is something that's holding you back from getting started, what would that thing be? Okay? That's going to help you peel the layers of the onion to find the core root cause, all right? And can you guess what the prospect said? The prospect said, actually, I just want to get started, but I don't know how to join. So we had the 3 or 4 LCs talking for like an hour after the presentation. The whole time he's nodding his head, but not being, not displaying his emotions and not asking to sign up. Like he was waiting for someone to give him the application form. Had you had that application form on the table already, guess what? He would have reached for it. And again, another really silly thing I see people do is you have the application form on the table, okay, but get this, there's no pen. It blows my mind. So, you have the application form on the table, but no pen. You don't have to put the pen on an application form, just put the pen on the table. Okay, put the pen on the table. It's kind of like having your laptop in front of the person with no keyboard. You can't have a laptop without a keyboard, right? Because that's how you enter the information. So just have those things ready with you. And it blows my mind today. I've seen some leaders in the business. It shocks me. It shocks me. I see some leaders after the tour, and they don't have this stuff with them. They don't have the application form. And what that's telling me is that it's not duplicating properly. It means that when your new LC gets started, they're thinking, well, when I have my guests here, I shouldn't have this stuff with me anyways. Always have your package of information ready after the presentation. That is so, so important. Okay? So I don't hope you guys feel like I'm giving you a lot of tough love here, but I think it's good to share with you the information tonight because it's going to help you succeed. Okay. Another don't. Do not ask someone, if someone says, oh, I'm not ready yet, or no, I don't want to join, don't say, oh, Mr. Prospect, why don't you want to join? Never, ever, ever do that, okay? The better question to ask that will allow you to find the core cause of them not getting started is, I mentioned it before, what's keeping you from getting started today? If there's one thing that's holding you back, Mr. and Mrs. Prospect, what might that one thing be? And just by asking that question, I can assure you, You're going to find out the core cause. Your job then is to overcome his objection, help him see why that's not really an objection, and move on with the closing process. Okay? So, moving along here, okay, there's actually another tip that I've seen some people do, and I know that Eric Worre likes to teach this, and I've used it a few times. It's quite effective as well too. Is if someone is still being a bit hesitant in getting started, ask these 4 questions. Number 1, based upon everything you've seen here today, if you were to get started on a part-time basis, about how much money would you need to make monthly to make this business worth your time? I love that question, because now you're asking questions to get your prospect to really think about them doing the business. Okay? Because some people have this strange notion that they have to give up all of their time. You don't have to, right? It's a part-time business, right? Okay? When I got started, the whole idea was to add an extra $300 to $500 a month. That was my goal, not to make 6 figures a month, not to make $1 million a year. My goal was to make $300, $500 a month. Okay, so you don't know what your prospect's thinking. Okay, so once they ask that question, then ask question number 2. So then they might say 1,000 a month, 500 a month, 3,000 a month, right? Number 2, about how many hours per week are you willing to realistically commit to get that answer for number 1 per month? Okay, so if they told you, I want to make $500 a month, your question then becomes, about how many hours per week are you willing to realistically commit to get $500 a month? Because some people, again, have this weird notion that they have to work 40 hours a week. No. Some people have a ridiculous perception they can work 1 hour per week to make $1,000 a month. No. Okay, your job will not pay you $1,000 for 1 hour in your business. No. Okay, so part of these questions is to make your prospect not ask these, not have these, ridiculous expectations in the business. Okay. Number 3, ask about how many months would you be willing to commit to the business, okay, to develop the answer in number 1. So now you know how much they want to make per month. You know how many hours they want to commit per week. Now you ask them for how many months would you commit those hours per week to develop that income per month. Okay? Again, I've seen some ridiculous people, well, I'm going to commit 6 months in this business, and I want to make $5,000 a month with 2 hours per week. No, it's not going to happen, right? We're not a lottery, okay? I mean, really, for most people, unless you already have a lot of experience in this industry, most people need a few months to get training. For me, I was there every single day after my work to get training. So I really expedited my training process. This business is not hard. You get trained, you will do very well. You apply the training, you do even better. Okay? You get trained, you don't apply the training, you're struggling. You get trained, and if you apply the training, like tonight, you will do very well. Okay? So, these questions are really great psychologically speaking because it helps your prospect realize, let's be realistic here, but now they're thinking, wow, this guy's serious. This guy who invited me, he really has a plan for me to be able to make this money per month if I commit 2 hours per week. So now your prospect is really thinking about getting started. And the final question, the magic question, from Mr. Prospect, Mrs. Prospect, if I could show you how to develop, that money per month you want to achieve, working those hours per week over the next 1 to 2 years. I always tell people at least a year. You need at least 2 years really to get trained and then to succeed, unless you already have a lot of experience. Okay, that's why some people can make, one of our China newest regional ambassadors has made over $80,000 in her first 7 months. That's ridiculous, $80,000 in her first 7 months. She's easily going to hit 6 figures in her first year. Okay, but anyways, if I could show you how to develop that much money per month, working those hours per week over the next 1 to 2 years, is there anything else you would need to know before getting started? Wow. This question is just like the other question where you're peeling the layers on the onion to find the core cause, right? It's just like asking them, what's the one thing holding you back? Is there anything else you would need to know before getting you started? If they say, I don't have anything else I need to know, what do you say? That's wonderful, Mr. Prospect. You big smile on your face. That's wonderful. Let's get you started. And you pass them the laptop. You give them the iPad. You pass them the application form. Boom. Let's get you started. Easy. That's literally what I do every single time. Now, if they say to you, oh, well, I have this question, great. Go over that question. When you answer that question, oh, Mr. Prospect, was there anything else you would need to know before getting started? They say no. Big smile on your face. That's wonderful. Let's get you started. And another question, what do? You answer that question. When you're done answering that question, what do? Again, is there anything else you need to know before you got started? It's not rocket science. Okay, guys? Just apply the training tonight. You can have an amazing, amazing experience. Okay. Some must-use tools, again, how to survey. I love applying the team strategy in my closings. Okay, so something I like to do to promote the urgency. And this really goes really well when someone tells you, oh, we know what, I know, give me a day, give me 2 days, give me 3 days, I just want to think about it, right? I always, 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 in every single one of my meetings, I apply the team strategy, okay? And that strategy, the main point is to give examples of stories of people who missed out on positioning. Your job is to tell stories, because what happens when you tell stories is it becomes real for them, okay? You can tell them, hey, timing is important, get it now. They don't get what that means. It means nothing to them. They don't get it. They can't, believe me, people are visual learners, all right? In my son's school, I realized that, for a lot of kids, they're visual learners. Some people can hear it and get it. Majority of the population, they are visual learners. Draw out a diagram, okay? So what I tell people are stories of like Reza. Reza, actually, we're going to have some fun here. I'm going to turn on my camera here and show you exactly what I draw on the piece of paper. Sebastian, can you guys see me okay on the video? Do you guys see me actually or no? So make sure Sebastian can mute himself. Hey, Rene? Sebastian. Hey there.
I am excited that I can see you. This is going to be fantastic. Thank you for doing this.
Oh, all right. Yeah, sorry? And you can, sorry?
I said we can see you and we can hear you loud and clear. Okay,
wonderful. So here we go, folks. Here's exactly the kind of stories I show someone when I'm going through the closing process, okay? And hope you guys see my paper here. So what I show to them is, look, here's Reza. Okay, Reza got started in 2005, okay? 2005 is when Reza gets started. Give me one quick second. You have to get a much thicker pen. So give me one quick second here. And get a bigger pen here, okay? So you guys can see my paper more clearly here. 1 second.
Sorry, Rene, we can't hear you.
Oh, sorry, I just actually muted myself. Thank you, Sean. I was getting my son's crayons here from his drawing stuff. So here we go. Thank you, Sean. So here's Reza. He gets started in 2005, okay? And what happened was he got really busy working for the government, all right? So, he had his cushy job, blah, 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 blah. So, of course, he had someone above him who kept placing people below him. So even while he wasn't doing the business, guess what? His team kept on growing. Okay, so even though he was busy, the people above him had to put people below him. The same thing will happen for you. Say that. The same thing will happen for you. Okay, and what happened was over 3 years to 2008, that's when he got started in the business. But guess what? He had accumulated over $8 million. $8 million of accumulated volume over those 3 years. So imagine if he didn't get started in 2005 and he waited till 2008 to get started, he would have been short $8 million of commissionable volume. And just because he got that position, put in money every month into his shopping account to buy products, by the time he got started in '08, he had $8 million of bank volume. Upon that time frame, he started to build his other leg. Within a short 20-odd months, whatever it is, he made $1 million in the business. What other business will do this when you're not working it? Any business you don't work, it's going to die out, especially in the first few years, right? So, Mr. Prospect, I know you're thinking you want to wait till tomorrow, but you know what? Just, lock in that position because it's going to be worth so much money in the future. Do what Reza did. Lock in the same day. Let's get you started right now. Boom. That's it. Okay? And I pass the laptop, and I pass the form. Same thing. Okay? Now, another story that I like to show people is actually my own story. And you can always share my story, too, like I shared Reza's story, right? Okay? Now, here's my story. I'm just going to get rid of this piece of paper here because it has some ink behind it here. So here's my story, okay? Here's Rene. I got started the very first night I saw this business, the very first night. And what happened was, true story, what happened was my sponsor, which was Jeanette, okay, so I put Jeanette up here, Jeanette, okay, she started putting people below me, okay, and those people started people below them. So even though I did nothing in the business, because I got started, the next few days, people start coming in below me. The same thing will happen for you. The same thing will happen for you, okay? What happened was one of those people here, okay, knew someone that has led to my Alberta team and BC team that has well over 2,000 people today. 2,000 people today in that tree branch. So imagine if I would have not got started the very same night, if I would have waited a few more nights and got started down here somewhere, I would have lost out on those 2,000 people. So Mr. Prospect, you know what? Trust me, you want to get a position. Any package, just get a position. Because I know once they get in, I do the launch pad, more training, more excitement, they're going to upgrade. If they don't get in, it makes it harder. So my strategy is always, get them in at whatever package they're comfortable with. Okay? And so these are the two stories that I love to share with people. On my slide there, we also have Sarah and Winnie's story, and their story, same thing. Okay, this is the last story for today, guys. We love telling stories, right? Here's Winnie and Sarah's story. They basically, actually, since we have Sherry on the call, let's share Sherry's story. No, sorry, Sherry, but this is for training purposes, not for you to murder me later on, okay? Here's Sherry's story. Sherry was the very first person I talked to in the business, the first person. I called her for 7 days. Renee, I'm too busy. I don't have time. I'm not interested. Go away. Go fly a kite. She was just really busy, right? Finally, after 7 days, I had to bribe her with dinner and bubble tea. But I was smart, though, because I wasn't making much money, right? I found this bubble tea place that for $4 and some odd cents, I can get a dinner and bubble tea. So, she always jokes about how her free dinner was a bubble tea and some Chinese meal, right? Anyways, she actually got started about 2 weeks afterwards. She waited 2 weeks to get started. So she ended up, of course, coming down here somewhere. So she not only missed the Alberta team, she also missed another big team I had. So she missed the boat twice. Now, of course, she's, the number one top female entrepreneur today. She's really happy still. But had she been where she was, maybe she'd be having another, 40 grand a month of income, all right? So that's what I share. Folks, you can even share your own story. If you got started in business right away and immediately you had someone come below you, if you're not sharing that story, you're killing yourself. You should be sharing any story that you can to promote the importance of launching your business today. Absolutely today, okay? So back to the training here, okay? So we have other stories of people, so always share a story of someone who got positioned and someone who didn't, okay? So I just gave you the story of Sherry, who didn't get positioned. I also gave you Reza and mine, who got started. Winnie and Sarah's story, same thing. Winnie and Sarah, I've known Sarah since I was since we were kids. We played badminton together. And she was actually in another health and wellness company. This is a great story to apply when you have someone who came from the health industry, right? So Winnie and Sierra, they're really committed to their other business, selling weight loss, vitamins, facial products, that kind of good stuff, right? Long story short, I met her at a mutual friend's volleyball, and she came to me and gave me her business card. She wanted to meet me to show her business to me. When I saw the business card, I knew exactly which company it was. So I said, yeah, let's go for coffee. Long story short, she comes to the showroom. I kind of redirected the meeting from the bubble tea to the showroom, and they're like, wow, this is a crazy showroom. Long story short, they got positioned. They got positioned, but because of their loyalty and commitment to the other company, they didn't do anything for 9 months. So they got positioned. Okay, they got a position in the system, but for 9 months, they did nothing. In those 9 months, their team grew by 120-something people into like 8 different countries, and they had banked volume of $100,000 of banked volume because they got positioned. Mr. Prospect, trust me, you want to get that position. Any package is on you right now. Don't wait. If you're going to do it anyways, why not do it now, right? It's a no-brainer, okay? And so that's what I share with people. And of course, the Eric story is actually my fellow colleague who's from TELUS. He's one of the guys I talked to as well 8 years ago, but back then just wasn't the right timing for him to get started. 8 years later, he got started, and he's actually the reason why, through other people, that the China team got started too. So great story to share as well. Okay, moving along here, especially if you are in North America, you definitely want to be showing the tax savings. Okay, now I don't have time tonight to go into that whole document, right? But the whole point of that tax savings document is it shows someone that it doesn't matter which package they come in with, what they will get back as a tax refund because they're running their own business will most likely be more than what they invested. Okay, so understand this, right? That by them getting started, they're actually getting back more than they invested. It means it's a no-brainer. It means there's no, logically, you should get started because you're going to save, get back more money during your tax time than what you invested in. You're actually making money, okay? So 3 questions I love to ask people when I show that is, can you see how this can save you or make you some money? They'll always say yes. Number 2, are you interested in saving or making some money? The answer is yes. Number 3 is the magic question. If there were ever a good time to start saving or making some money, when would that time be? And their answer, I guarantee you, their answer is going to be today. They say today, you know what, Mr. Prospect, Mr. Prospect, you're absolutely correct. You are correct. Let's get you started right now. You push over the application form, the laptop, the iPad, whatever it is, boom, that's how you get them started, okay? So moving on here as well too, is how important is a follow-up? As good as you might be in closing, sometimes, no matter what you do, just understand that no matter what you do, sometimes some people just will not get started, okay? But how do you improve the probability of closing? It's very simple. You book more follow-ups, okay? The more times you follow up with someone, the more likely they will join. And, you know, because if you bring someone out once and they don't join and you never call them again, it's over. Like there's like all the time you spent from the introduction, bringing them out for coffee, going to the tour, going through the closing process, saying hello, goodbye, all of that you've done to that point in time, if you don't follow up with that person, you've wasted all of that time. At least do yourself a favor and do a few follow-ups. Does that make sense, folks? Okay, if you don't do a follow-up, that whole process from start to finish, you basically blown that. All right, so for me, I always follow up, okay? Now, on average, if you're able to have that person come out again and follow up with you by about the 3rd time, that person will most likely join. Because if they come out more than once, more than twice, more than 3 times, it means what? It means that they are interested in the business. Now, it might take longer than 3 times, maybe 4 or 5 times. I know for Eric, it took about 6 times to meet him before he finally got started, even after waiting for 8 years, okay? But if people never hear from you again, what they're thinking, your prospects are thinking is, oh, you know, that guy, he invited me out just for a one-time thing. You know, he wants to get my money. He didn't really care about me, all right? But if you actually follow up for, you know, once a month, every 6 months, a year, if you follow up even after a year, guess what? Your prospect knows that you are serious about the business, that you're committed to the business, and that you're actually probably having success because you're still doing the business. If you never follow up, remember, you just wasted all that effort you spent from start to finish. Okay? So don't waste your time. Just follow up, because the fortune is in the follow-up. All right? So 99% of the people who said no to you was simply a lack of follow-up. Other really sort of quick few tips here is that when you're closing, understand that you have 2 years and 1 month. All right? Your job is to listen to what the prospect is saying. And so many times I hear people out there who, the prospect is telling them what their issue is. It just goes in one ear and out the next. They're not even thinking about answering or handling that objection. If you never handle your prospect's objections, how will they ever get started? Because they don't feel like they're in control. Okay, so once you're able to answer the objection, you've now made them, and by handling that objection or answering that question, you now make them feel like they have more control, that they have more knowledge, and when they have more knowledge, they have more power. Knowledge is power. Okay, because more strength. So when you answer those questions by listening to what the core issue is, you're now able to empower your prospect to feel like they're in control to make a decision. Okay, so again, from what I was saying before, if they are saying they want to become a retailer, don't try to sell diamond. Okay, the key is get them in first. They will upgrade later. And again, if you push for a diamond, they might get turned off because they feel like you're not really listening to them, and that's bad. Okay. So now another really quick few topics to mention is in regards to how to work with your upline. Because a lot of times out there, I see people who invite their upline, their My5, to assist them during the closing, and what you want to do as an LC is follow their lead. Your upline knows from experience what to focus on and what to talk about. Please do not interrupt your My5 when they're speaking. It's, number one, super annoying when you're, even for me when I'm helping an LC close with a prospect. It's really, really annoying when they keep interrupting me because it throws me off, right? It throws me off and it reduces the chance of us to help you close your prospect, okay? So never interrupt. Believe me, your My5 has so much experience in this business. All you gotta do is let them speak. You have the 3 E's. You're excited, you're enthusiastic, you have high energy, but you let your My5 do the talking for you, okay? And your role again is to back up everything that the LC said, that your upline says. Reconfirm, okay? So if your My5 is suggesting to get a position in the system, your job is to nod your head. Don't interrupt. Just say, yeah, get a position, get a position. Yes, absolutely. That's all you got to do, okay? Now, sometimes, despite what the My5 can do for you, if the My5 feels like they've done all of that they can, your My5 has been trained to step away from the meeting to let you try to close with your own prospect. Sometimes some people have this bond with you that they want to have this little quick chat with you away from the My5, and we're trained to know when to walk away. And we call that the washroom closing. So the washroom closing is where we say, I have to go to use the washroom, I'll be right back. Or go get a cup of water, get a coffee, I'll be right back. We purposely walk away to let you have that little intimate chat with your prospect. And your job then is to reconfirm everything that we said. You know what, hey, John, Mr. Prospect, you know what, Mr. My5 was absolutely correct. You want to get position right away. Trust me, you're making a fortune just by getting position. Okay? So, and last thing as well too is your job is to be assertive. It's terrible when the My5 is out there doing their best, being very enthusiastic, high energy, good enthusiasm, and we're trying the best to create that excitement for your prospect. And meanwhile, the LC is like sleeping, or they're looking depressed because they're thinking about their job. I don't know what's going on in their mind, but you've got to be assertive. You have to make sure that your LC feels like that they are doing the right thing by getting the prospect is doing the right thing by you being assertive. Okay, just confirm everything that the My5 said. And please, 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 if you are ever with your My5, don't ask questions, okay? The closing time of the prospect is for your prospect. It's not time for you to get training. Okay, if you want to ask questions, I want you to ask your questions, but ask your questions outside, somewhere else, a different time. Okay, when you have your prospect there with you with your My5, your job is to not ask questions. If you ask questions, here's what happens. You look like you're an amateur. You look like, you know, that you haven't spent time learning your business. Okay, now, I'm not saying that you should know everything when you get started because it takes time to get learning, but just don't ask questions, because if you ask questions, you might make yourself look bad, but number two, you might create more questions for your prospect. Perhaps your prospect was ready to get started, and because you kept asking all these questions, you gave more questions to your prospect's mind, and now you made the whole process a lot longer. Okay? I'm not saying questions aren't okay. We want you to ask your questions. We want to train you to have the answers, but there's a right time to ask your questions, and that time is not when you're with your prospect. Okay? So again, you know, just confirm that it's a great decision to get started today. Don't push. Be assertive, not aggressive. So again, don't be pushy. Don't be aggressive. Be assertive. Okay? And again, the point here is that the LC and the My5 are going to work together to show the guests that they can benefit and receive value from getting started today. Okay? Of course, we have the survey slides here to show you what the survey looks like. We do have survey training as well too on the company webinar here. A last quick few tips I want to share with you guys. Okay, one thing that I love to say, some other key points here to mention when you're doing your closing, and these are actually topics that I didn't have a chance to add into the PowerPoint slides here. So I'm going to tell you this just over the voice here. Make sure that you write this down, okay? Some key points I'll have to mention when I'm talking about the business is that is absolutely the most safest investment and the most risk-free investment, okay? Because think about it, right? If someone were to put their money in for the business, you know, $3,099, and they actually got back $6,000 worth of products, just tell me, where is the risk in that? You know, you've actually made $3,000 of products by getting started, okay? And these aren't products that, you know, you weren't going to buy yourself anyways, you know, like, you know, these are products that you actually want and you actually need, okay? So number one is that I tell my product, look, it's an absolute safe investment. It's risk-free here, okay? And another point, number 2 point, write this down, right? The second point is that you should invest your money into precious commodities, right? You know, and think of this business as a chance to invest $3,099 and then get back $6,000 worth of silver, gold, and diamonds, all right? And what I love to tell people is if you took that $6,000 of products and you put it into buying silver, gold, and diamonds in the business, you held that money for your next generation and the generation afterwards, I guarantee you it's worth more then than it is now, okay? And so, again, just by saying that, you're not telling your prospect it's risk-free. Another really key point is, and I love this one here, so write this down, please, right? If you have $3,099 right now sitting in the bank, at best, you're making, what, 1% interest on $3,099 for 1 year. So if you have $3,009 in the bank account today, after 1 year, what you've made is $30.99, right? 1% of 3099. You made $30, so you have now 3099 plus $30, which is, you know, 3,000, you know, plus $30, right? So instead of doing that, by putting a $3,099 into the business, and you get $6,000 worth of silver, gold, and diamonds, you put that into the bank account, your safe deposit box, you let it wait for the next generation, I guarantee you it's worth more than you putting that money into the bank. Because if you earn 1% interest on your money, that's not even enough to cover inflation. Okay, inflation, again, is what? It's the cost of goods going up. So again, you putting $1 today into your bank account, by next year it's worth 98 cents. The next year it's worth 95 cents. You know, back in 1960s, to buy a house was $50,000. Today to buy a house is $1 million, right? Because again, the cost of goods always goes up. So if you put that 3099 in the bank account, or the $1 bank account, with the interest you're getting back, you're not even beating inflation. So you're actually losing money. Your $3,099 today is going to buy less and less things over the next few years. By putting that money into GWT and get $6,000 worth of silver, gold, and diamonds that you can actually wear on your body, it's going to be worth more the next generation afterwards, right? How many of you people on call tonight have had things passed down to you from your families? A lot of you guys have that, right? Why do people pass down gold, silver, and diamonds? Because it's worth something. It's worth more over time. So my $30,000 Very Mosh ring that I bought for my wife in 2009 is now worth over $80,000 over the last few years. Because why? Gold, diamonds, silver will go up in value over time. Okay? So the last thing, a few more things I have to say too, and this is really good, is I tell someone, look, Mr. Prospect, I know already that in 1 year you would spend $3,099 or $499, whatever they're thinking of the package, right? I know already you spend that same amount of money buying stuff, clothes, shirts, jeans, shoes, maybe even drinking, maybe smoking. You spend that money on things that never made you money, that never put you further ahead in your life. And what I've learned is to put money into places that can make you wealthier. So really, instead of blowing that money, buying stuff that never pays you, take some of that money and put it into a business that can make you a lifelong residual income. Let's get you started right now. All right? So I love that because people, when they have that point of reference, they realize that, you know what? He's right. I spend this money on stuff that never pays me anyways. I might as well put into something that's actually going to make me money. The worst case scenario, again, is I'm going to get silver, gold, and diamonds I can keep for my future generation that gains more value than inflation. Bam! Let's get you started. Okay? I like to promote that you want to have a package because by having a package, you will have products that can help you sell the business, right? I always tell people it's a very visual business. So, definitely, silver is a great start, but you want to eventually upgrade to the diamond because by having the diamond package with more products that you're wearing on your body, it makes it easier to promote your business, okay? And so the last thing that I'd like to add here as well, too, is that as a closing technique that I've learned through books, it's actually called the Benjamin Franklin close. And I showed this at the boot camp, and I know people were going crazy when I showed this closing technique, right? The Benjamin Franklin close is you show someone the pros and the cons. So you have a piece of paper like this, and you basically put a line down the middle, and you basically show, let's just kind of show you the pros and the cons of getting started and not getting started, okay? So let's say you have two options here. You have option A and option B. Okay? Option A is you don't join. So you don't join the business. Okay? What happens then if you don't join the business, number one, you pay taxes. You pay taxes because you have to. Okay, you pay taxes, all right? Number two, so if you don't join, you pay taxes. Okay? You have the 45-year plan. Okay, the 45-year plan, which is you work for your whole entire life, and by the age of 65, you're dead or dead broke. So you work to the age of 65, and you're dead or dead broke. That's a 45-year plan. Okay, that's a government stats telling you that. It's not me making it up. It's a government stats telling you that, right? Okay, and on an investment, if you have $3,099, okay, what you would have made putting it into the bank account is 1%, which is $30.99. So you made $30 putting that money there. That's option A. Okay? And again, the other part, you can add more things like, you're going to be working for someone else. You're making someone else's dream come true, right? So in your job, you're working so hard to make your boss's, the owner's dream come true, right? Option B, here we go. This is where the brain starts thinking, right? Option B, Mr. Prospect, is you join. You launch your BDM, okay? Instead of paying taxes, you get a refund. So again, if you don't understand how that stuff works, if it doesn't apply to you because you're not in a country that gets tax benefits, don't worry about it. If you're in North America or some places like Australia or Europe where you get tax savings of having a home-based business, okay, what you want to say is you can get a refund. And by filling out that tax fill-in-the-blank form that we teach you guys on so many Monday night tax seminar training, if you don't know how to use that tax fill-in-the-blank, attend the weekly tax seminars we have on webinar or in person. Instead of paying taxes, you're going to get a refund of usually $3,000 to $9,000. So either you pay taxes or you get a refund. Worst case scenario, right? And also, you don't have the 45-year plan. You have the 5-year plan. Work hard for 5 years, take the next 50 off, okay? And more importantly, the $3,099 you would have put into the business, you would have made, instead of making 1%, which is $3,099, if you put in $3,099, you got back a refund, because usually you will get a refund, of about $5,000. Do you want, so $5,000, a $3,099 investment, you've made almost $2,000 there. So as Mr. Prospect, would you rather make $30 by leaving your money in the bank account and not joining? Or would you rather make $2,000 by having the business and working 5 years, get a huge refund, okay, and get $6,000 worth of free products? Because if you invested $3,099 into the business, not only do you get a refund of $5,000, but you get free products of $6,000. I guarantee you, if you apply this Benjamin Franklin clause, A, B, A, the con, don't join, B, the pro of joining, done. You logically show them, logically, if you don't get started, you're just paying taxes, and you're on the 4-5-year plan, and you're making $30 after 1 year of putting in the bank account, not the same money. By joining 3099, you're going to get a refund, maybe $5,000, maybe I have about $8,000 my first year of tax refund, which means that instead of making it $30 after 1, you can make about $2,000 or more just by having the business. But you also get $6,000 worth of free products. Mr. Prospect, which one would you prefer? And then you wait. Mr. Prospect, which one would you prefer? And you wait for the answer. And they're going to tell you, well, of course, option B. What do you say? Amazing decision. Let's get you started. That is all I do every single one of my meetings. And it works. The last 8 years is how I help myself close my process and my own team. Okay, so I'm almost overly excited here. And I just want to say thank you folks for taking the time to be at tonight's call. I hope that you were able to get a lot of value from tonight. I could go for a bit longer, but it's already 10:14. So I don't want to go into too much more time here in the business. The one thing that I do want to cover right now, of course, in closing, is the upcoming event that we have, which is going to be huge. This training is literally what I applied my very first year in the business that allowed me to make $20,000 a month by my 10th month. So if you want to make $20,000 per month in your 10th month, you have got to come to this training. Because what I've seen in other MLM trainings is people get so excited. They leave the convention. They had all these crazy, cancer stories of people healing cancer, healing stroke, all this crazy stuff, and they're so pumped that they're like, they're like chickens flying around, but they don't know what to do next. They're like, I'm excited, but what do I do now? Because they didn't get any really core business training. And this training, which is called the Forensic Networker Training, that is a manual written by our very own CEO. It's what he's done to create 17 other millionaires. So what he's done to help himself become financially free is MLM's most advanced training university program. There's only 7 days left to buy your tickets at the special early bird price. Literally, we have people who are not even in our business who have heard about this training, who are flying in just for this training as well too. And you're going to learn how to go from startup to a 5-figure monthly income within 12 months full-time or 18 months part-time. Now for me, I went crazy my first year, right? So I made more than 5 figures a month in my first 6 months. If you had that same kind of, a commitment and dedication and the priorities in your life. And so right now you have 7 days left to buy your tickets at the special early bird price. So make sure you log into your back office, go into the promo section and buy your ticket right now. But what I want to do as well too is that we have a lot of our other amazing RAs and NAs who of course have attended this training as well too and have had amazing results just by applying the same training here. So folks, let me call upon of course our other RAs and NAs we have on the call here. So Sebastian, Sherry, I know you're both on the call too. I can't see who's on the list here. But let's call upon, I guess, Sean Haynes first, the gentleman who told me I was actually reading before. Sean, I know that, for you and me, we've never missed a single forensic networker event training. It's helped us so much to achieve our lifestyle. You know, Sean, you're making well over 6 figures a year now in residual income. So, Sean, how important is it to be at the forensic networker event?
Hi, Rene. First of all, congratulations and thank you. Another tremendous training, and you know, I was listening to those stories, and I've had so many stories of people just by that timing and positioning. You know, we're getting started makes such a difference in what this business has done for them. So I hope everyone took lots of notes on the great training you got from our National Ambassador, Rene Liaw, tonight. Well, yes, absolutely. Forensic networker, you know, I had a call with my team the other day, Rene, and I told them it's very simple. You got to look in the mirror and decide, you know, do you see the vision? Do you see yourself being a 5-figure monthly earner with GWT? Do you see yourself being a 6-figure annual earner with GWT? And, you know, do you see yourself becoming one of those 1,000 millionaires? And if the answer is yes, then there is no choice, there is no option but to be at forensic. You know, and if you look in the mirror and you say that that's what you see, but you're not at forensic, then you're just in a fantasy. Okay, because you can't have access to training like this. I've actually been to training, Rene, that cost me thousands of dollars, and it was not even 1/10 of what we're getting at forensic for 179. I mean, it's a giveaway that our CEO is giving. You know what I mean? It's like a gift, basically, to show up and get this training for 179. So. It's a training. It's going to take you to another level. It's going to expand your mind. It's going to expand the way you look at and do this business to another level. And, you know, you're going to have that absolute roadmap where it's totally clear of getting, not only getting, because, you know, many people can get, but maintaining. So one of the reasons why many of us have been blessed to maintain ongoing weekly residual income and, you know, monthly, annual residual income is because of the forensic networker training. It teaches us how to build and sustain that business that will pay you over and over again for a lifetime. And then, of course, you know, you can pass it on to your children and have it do the same for them. So, folks, GWT is your legacy to set up for yourself, your family for the future. Forensic is the training to ensure that you can capitalize and maximize on the legacy of GWT. So don't miss it. Plus, it's going to be the release of Phase 5. It's going to be insane announcements in Phase 5 that's going to skyrocket us to the billion.
Oh, yeah.
And all I can say is you want to be an ambassador, by Forensic Networker Weekend. So I can't wait weekend. I got my tickets for Forensic, and we also had a contest. We had some winners in our team. We got their tickets for Forensic. So it's going to be an insane weekend in Toronto. Can't wait to see everybody July 10th and 11th. Back to you, Rene.
Well, thank you very much, Sean, and you're absolutely correct. Amazing point there because, you know, just like yourself, I've been to a few other conventions before too, and you know, you leave excited, but you're clueless when you leave. And one thing that this teaches you is exactly what to do step by step to reaching, you know, 5 figures a month. I mean, this train should be worth, you know, at least 10 grand, you know, but again, it's only $100+. I mean, folks, make sure you get your tickets right away. Let's then turn back to, I guess, Sherry Zhao, who's also our amazing leader, the lady that I met many years ago, had a chance to, of course, show her the business. Took her 14 days to get started here, but today she is the top female income earner. Sherry Zhao, share with us why is it so important to be at the Forensic Networker event.
Hello, Rene, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. I can hear being in the background, but of course that's the life of a retired mom. So please take it away.
Yes, I apologize for that. She's been overexcited to listen to your training, of course.
Oh, thank you.
Enjoyed it every sentence you just shared with us, and so am I. I mean, you have done an incredible job as always, and this training I took a lot of notes myself, and I'm really loving it. And thank you for using my example to share with everyone. that
Thank you. Thank you.
you know, the timing is important. I would say that absolutely. What do you think? That was absolutely true. I enjoy you know, the income I'm earning right now, but I do not mind to have extra few $1,000 a month that I have missed for the first at least 3 to 5 years. So
Role model now, and of course.
Sorry.
No, I'm saying, you know, your big story for a lot of people share, your role model. You know, things happen for a reason, and you know, I mean, again, thank you for being our story that helps many other thousands of LCs launch their new prospects. So.
I guess that's the meaning to it. Everything happens for a good reason. That's what we always believe in. And so talk about the forensic networker training. You know, we have been get on this training since year 2008, and then 09, 010, and every year our amazing CEO adds something to it, You know, when we thought we got something, and then he adds something new to it. So this is endless training. There are so many things. It's just like for those people who, if you are religious, you believe in Bible, you know, there's so many things you can always find out, like get out from it. I cannot express the details. I cannot share with you all the details, but even the concept. It's just amazing training that, you know, hands-on, give you all the things that you need for you to do the business. You don't even have to be a network marketing as long as you are a business owner, you need this training. You know, it's something that's really like it's all business concept. It give you the ability to be a real business owner, and they give you the not only the, you know, there's no hype there. It's everything. Our CEO Rene talk about. It's very all practical, very practical. So you want that training. You need this training for you to get your business to the next level. Even you attended this training before, and you want to go back to it because, just like I said earlier, our CEO always adds something, always gets something new to the forensic networking training. And this gentleman had 25, actually, 25, almost 30 years experience in this industry, and been a multi-millionaire within 5 years. And he got so much knowledge he needs to share with you. I don't even know how he can pack all these things within 2 days, but he's going to, you know, share this thing, all the things that he experience, and you can learn from him directly. And what's better than that? So
absolutely,
if you can, you know, if there's no visa issue, then you got to be here. The only excuse you got is the Canada don't allow you to come in the country, but that's the only reason you can give. But other than that, you got to be there. Okay.
Well, thank you so much, Sherry.
That's actually that's something I like to share. So back to you, Rene. Thank you so much for the training tonight.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much, Sherry. And folks, you know, one thing that I want to tell you guys is I see so many trainers out there today in the industry that we're in, and it bothers me. It bothers me that someone can be on stage teaching you how to make residual income. Meanwhile, they're not making that income today. The one thing that bothers me the most, folks, and I'm going to be really serious here, because it bothers me that a lot of these people who become these MLM trainers in the field, because they want to make money from selling you the training courses, how can they be training if they still aren't making the residual income they are today? A lot of these trainers made income before, but they're not making it today anymore. And I've always believed that you cannot be a trainer to teach someone. You can be a motivational speaker. You can motivate someone how to become successful. That's fine. But you cannot teach someone how to build their MLM business if you aren't making that passive income today that you're trying to teach them to make. And that's what I love about our CEO and our trainers in the company is that all of our trainers, including our CEO, have been able to build teams and are currently still making residual income, and they can teach you what they've done. instead of people who are just teaching you things from things that they've learned from many years ago or from the previous successful company. If someone today is not retired from their and still making the passive income from the company that they learned before, they should not be a trainer in terms of how to make, teaching you how to make passive income. So folks, I just want to turn the call back to our amazing host for tonight, Sebastian. Again, thank you so much for hosting tonight, Sebastian. I don't know if you have any questions or comments coming in, but I'll leave that to you. I'll be in the call, hang around. But again, thank you very much, folks, and call it back to you, Sebastian.
Wow, Rene, we have so many people who are just absolutely impressed, inspired, touched, motivated, and I got to tell you, there's not many questions. In fact, I don't see questions at all, but what I do see is a lot of praise, many people who are just thanking you so much for the teaching, for the advice. When you went on your webcam there, you know, that just took it to level 10 because what you shared about timing and placement, I mean, I could see that a million times and still get excited. So, you know, thank you so much, Rene. We do have one question regarding a recording. So yes, it is to my knowledge that this call is recorded. You'll want to play this with your teams. I would imagine you would want to. I know that I can't wait to get a copy of the recording. But yeah, like I said, with regards to questions, I don't see any right now. So if there are questions, maybe we'll wait a few seconds here. But yeah, Rene, just if you look in the chat box, there's so many people who are saying thank you so much, and it was absolutely